Greatness, like genetics, can be passed down through the generations. The same is true in our beautiful game. Ancelotti played under an all-time great in Arrigo Sacchi. Mourinho served his apprenticeship under two of the very best in Louis van Gaal and Sir Bobby Robson, while Guardiola took it a step further, playing under both as well as Johan Cruyff himself. Xabi Alonso has played under all three of these managers, as well as Rafa Benitez, and has had the chance to absorb the ideas espoused by each. But in his playing days, Alonso stood out in his own right as one of the most intelligent players on the pitch. Naturally, he has brought his own flair to Leverkusen rather than being a carbon copy of any one manager. Thanks to Alonso, the unstoppable Leverkusen sit top of the Bundesliga, undefeated. But what exactly makes Alonso's side so special? Whenever possible, Alonso has lined up with this 11, in a 3-4-2-1 on paper, and in fact, some of his biggest challenges this season may come when he doesn't have all of these players available, as we'll touch on in a bit. What is most impressive is how, despite losing key players like Moussa Diaby over the summer, and bringing in a raft of new players, Leverkusen haven't missed a beat. Like most sides destined for the top, Alonso's side like to impose themselves on the opposition, with a league-high 62% possession. This domination of the ball is only made possible by a few factors that Alonso has carefully calculated. The technical ability of the backline, in addition to the numerical overloads they naturally have against most opposition presses, with a natural 4 if the goalkeeper joins the build-up play, means a hyper-aggressive press is difficult to execute against Leverkusen. But if the centre-backs are in possession, the double pivot pairing of Xhaka and Palacios always make themselves available, searching for angles to help break the first line of pressure, using this starting base of 5. Alonso's starting shape makes it extremely difficult for sides to press, as he has a pack of solutions at hand. Commit just one forward to the press, and either centre-back can be found, making it easy for Leverkusen to change the direction of attack. Commit 2 men instead, and Leverkusen work it to one of the wider centre-backs, and Tapsoba in particular is happy to aggressively push into the midfield and then cause an overload in that region. This is before even mentioning the flexibility of the backline. As though it is a 3, it can dynamically shift to a more traditional 4, occasionally with Frimpong dropping in, but his main priority is to push high on the right. So it is Grimaldo, who has had an outstanding season, that can become the left back, providing an easy outlet option, and as a result he's much more involved in possession phases than Frimpong. If the opposition instead commit both of their wingers to the press, the wingbacks would then be easy outlets, dropping in deeper in the wider regions and beginning to disrupt the opposition defensive shape. The comfort in deep possession that Alonso has instilled in Leverkusen often leads to a simple end result: opposition teams sitting off of them. This shows as Leverkusen complete the most passes on average without an opposition tackle or interception. In the build-up, there is a lot more responsibility on Tapsoba to begin the play, as he's often the base of the deep triangle involving Grimaldo and Xhaka, as Leverkusen prefer to build down their left where their best possession players are. When the midfield is congested, Palacios plays more like a traditional pivot alongside Xhaka, giving them a second option. If the high press were to continue, the beauty of the Leverkusen shape is that it can quickly become a box or a 3. So the men between the lines will provide a line-breaking option, with Florian Wirtz usually taking more of the onus in this regard. But Granit Xhaka has the most responsibility to pierce the heart of the opposition, usually being the first player that the team looks to hit. Although Palacios can be expansive when needed, Xhaka's ability to break deep lines has always been one of his major strengths, and a teammate like Wirtz looks to make his job as easy as possible. The front 3 do show some rotations, but Wirtz is most likely to be drawn towards the ball, looking to create the perfect angles, whilst Hoffmann can drop deeper as well. But especially when the ball is central or on the left, he can push so high up he looks like a temporary second forward. When Wirtz is found between the lines, the alarm bells start ringing for the opposition. He has the ability to thread the ball into a runner through the tightest of angles to get them bearing down on goal. He comes in first for Leverkusen, in passes into the box, goal-creating actions per 90, and of course assists. But the chaos that Leverkusen wreaks centrally is not just a one-man show. Jonas Hoffmann operates intelligently in the half spaces, particularly on the right, although his presence can be felt throughout all of Zone 14. If Wirtz is deeper, helping to orchestrate the attacking play, naturally the creative burden is something that Hoffmann shoulders gleefully, happy to be the one to get on the ball and play in his wide men or his forward in Boniface. Boniface has been a revelation since joining Leverkusen. What makes him so appealing is his well-roundedness, not being over-reliant on any one trait. He is quick, but that does not mean he's not technical and able to operate in super tight spaces. He's strong enough to hold off most centre-backs, but when needed he can avoid contact to instead ghost into free spaces where his twin 10s look to find him. When bearing down on goal he can be ruthless, as his 10 goals attest. But it's not to the point of self-serving selfishness, as he sets his teammates up in a variety of ways, with 7 assists already so far. But opposition managers do try to cut off the centre, as cutting off the central passing lanes and the spaces created for the front three is crucial. But this is where the dual wide threat of Grimaldo and Frimpong comes into play, as both look to initially hold the width. And when they do get onto the ball, Leverkusen commit numbers into the box, knowing that they have a solid defensive foundation. This means should the opportunity to whip in a cross present itself, there are plenty of men in the box to get on the end of it. However, many of the box runs can instead be decoys, to open up space on the edge of the box for the cutback. The wide men though, don't just let chalk collect on their studs for 90 minutes. And when the moment is right, they will cut infield aggressively to create or have shots, and both have proven themselves in the final third. These opportunities present themselves in different ways, as it can be through wide overloads, another huge part of Leverkusen's game, as the half-space man and the widest man often need a stronger relationship to facilitate those dangerous attacking situations. And of course, to compensate for the overload, which is begun by at least 4 men due to the aggression of the wider centre-backs at times in pushing high up, the opposition will come across to try and compress the space where Leverkusen are forming close proximity diamonds and triangles. After sucking in the opposition, this will present the perfect opportunity to switch the ball to the far side wide man to cause a lot of damage. All of this is topped off by the set-piece ability of Grimaldo, whose excellence with the dead ball means he's not only dangerous when whipping in corners, but also from free kicks, both through delivery and goal-scoring acumen. Just like they have multiple weapons in attack, the same versatility can be found out of possession. When they lose the ball high up the pitch, Leverkusen are more than capable of swiftly counter-pressing, particularly from that central 5 who will swarm the opposition and look to snuff out the danger before it begins. But Leverkusen are not hell-bent on pressing high up the pitch and can drop into a much more conservative 5-2-3 shape, with the wingers quite narrowed to prevent central progression. By protecting the centre so fervently, the opposition is filtered wide, which then allows a wingback to press hard, knowing that the rest of the backline can shift across. Sitting a bit deeper also draws the opposition higher, leaving space in behind that Leverkusen are more than happy to hit on the transition. But Alonso is about to enter one of the most challenging periods of the season, as there is serious disruption to his first 11. His star forward has been suffering from an adductor injury, which has even forced him out of AFCON, whilst other key players like Hosunu, Adli and Tapsoba have all been called up to AFCON, meaning in the coming week we'll see how well Alonso adapts when all is not well. Whilst Alonso was one of the greatest midfielders in his day, you'll enjoy this video, a comparison of how Haaland and Mbappe's careers are tracking compared to 2 of the greats in Messi and Ronaldo, on screen now.